Namaskar. So, in the last talk, we have listened from Shri Basudeb Mishra, Vedic scientist, regarding the Vedic Science syllabus, what the students should read first, a roadmap of Vedic Science. So, what we have discussed is, we have discussed about different Vedangas, we have discussed Preti, Cheti, and today we are going to have the Vedic Science syllabus part 2. So I will request Basudeb Mishra sir to start the talk. Basudeb Mishra.
हरिओम। अच्छा, हम ये आजकल के जो विज्ञान पद्धति है, हमारा वैदिक विज्ञान पद्धति से ये पूरा उल्टा है। आजकल क्या होता है, हम लोग क्या है वैदिक विज्ञान में सबके मूल में चले जाते हैं और सबको ओरिजिनल चीज को एनालाइज करते हैं। जबकि आजकल क्या होता है, टीचर कुछ बोल दिया या किसी ने कुछ लिखा, उसको दूसरा ने अपने ढंग से बोल दिया, वो ठीक हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है, उसको तीसरे ने फिर बदल दिया, ऐसे ही चलता जा रहा है। तो जैसे एक कहानी है, किसी आदमी ने थूका, so someone spitted, and while spitting his spit fell on a bird's wing, a small bird's wing. So some another person saw this and he thought that the person spitted that wing. So he said to another person, this person has spitted and from his mouth a bird's wing came out. Then he went to another. He said, he spitted and plenty of bird's wings came out of his mouth. He then third person said, he spitted and a bird came from his mouth. And the next person said, he spitted and flocks of birds came out of his mouth. This way it spread. As today, the modern science education is like that. Somebody has written something, another person has interpreted it in his way, and then it goes on getting distorted step by step. So ultimately, what the student now reads is a distorted version of the original statement. हमारा पुराना कहावत है, आचार्यात् पादम आदत्ते पादम शिष्यम सो मेधया पादम स ब्रह्मचारीभ्यः पादम काल क्रमेण च. This means whenever we read from, whatever we get the knowledge from the teacher, it is only 1/4. When we analyze that statement in our own memory, from our memory, so that gives us another quarter of the knowledge. A third quarter we get from interaction with our colleagues, and the fourth quarter comes by virtue of time, that is experience. So what here happens is, the first leg, Acharyat Padam Adatte, this has been replaced by interpretation of the teacher as per his or her understanding. It may or may not be correct. It may be something different. Originally, no one reads the original papers. Say, for example, everyone talks about Einstein, but no one has read his original papers. There are plenty of contradictions in his paper, original paper. If someone reads it, they will find it is totally different and they will reject it mostly. But no one does that. They go by whatever the teacher, the version the teacher have told them. So the one example is the Schrodinger's cat. What happens here is, Schrodinger designed his cat experiment as a parody, not as science. But nowadays, everybody takes it as a fundamental principle. So there cannot be a cat which is both half living, half dead. There is no such thing. It undead is a concept from a fiction called Frankenstein. But that is a fiction. That nothing can be half alive, half dead. in a superposition of being half alive, half dead. That is not possible. But still, then lot of people have distorted his original parody to mean it is a scientific principle. Next, next slide. अच्छा अच्छा ये next slide है ये kg here is guy give some examples kilogram nowadays they say the kilogram is the unit of mass but this is a wrong thing mass is not before Einstein mass was used as a spread volume but from Einstein when he copied his the laws from Prasupada, he could not understand it fully. So he made a mistake. He confused weight with mass.
It is Newton. I think it is Newton.
Sorry, Newton. Newton. So when Newton copied his theories from Prasupada, so and when Prasupada says, Vega karmano jayate, but that karma is how it is generated. He says Gurutva, Dravatva, Prajatna, and Samsarga. But here Newton could not understand that, so he replaced mass with weight with mass. So for that, now what is kg? Kg is the weight of a metal cylinder kept in Paris. How that weight was determined? It was determined based on 1000 cubic centimeter of water at 4 degrees centigrade. The weight of that amount of water at 4 degrees centigrade was converted to equivalent to that metal piece which is kept in Paris as a kg weight. So kg itself is a weight, but now that is treated as a unit of mass. So this is a total misleading of these things. Then second thing, if we take mg, weight is equal to mg, we find that g, this is also another misleading statement. G, that small g, acceleration due to gravity, it was derived from the capital G. From the theory of gravitation, G m1 m2 by d square, that Newton's law of gravitation. But there, what they did is, from the m1 m2, they instead of m1 they took it properly, but the second one m2, that our weight, so that they took as, if you analyze the original paper, Cavendish, which wrote the original paper, or other papers, when you analyze, so there you will find that they have wrongly used it. Wrongly used in the sense they have taken the second weight as unit 1 kg. So if we are all not 1 kg. So suppose you take a M2, you take as 5 kgs. The result will be 5 times higher. If it is 10 kg, it will be 10 times higher. So it is not a universal rule. Everything is not 1 kg. So that G, acceleration due to gravity G, in that formula they have calculated, it is a wrong formula. If anybody analyzes the original paper, they will find out. But nobody analyzes the original papers. So what they do is follow the wrong thing presented to them as right. Similarly, Cavendish used it for calculating the value of G, capital G. It has seen the so-called gravitational constant G is a variable now with periodicity of about 5.3 years. The G is not a constant. It is known for the last 11 years. It is a period. It has a periodic value of 5.93 years. You can find it on the net. It is available, the research papers. It was in Physics News. It was published 11 years ago. And so, if the capital G is variable, small g, acceleration due to gravity, that should also be a variable. If that is a variable, weight mg means weight should be a variable. So, but we don't find weight as a variable. Yes, weight is a variable in certain circumstances that I will explain from the Vedic science. It is, but modern way of weight, it is not a variable. They call it is a Newton, it is a force called Newton. But no, it is not a force. Weight is a property. It is not a force. So that is also totally wrong. Achha. Then, according to Vedic science, weight can be classified into 5 types. But that is by Veda. So formula ये स्वरूपाद स्वरूपाधायक, अच्छा विशेषक, स्वयं सिद्ध एंड परिपंथी. By like so we'll discuss about next slide. We'll discuss about that. अच्छा, ये अपना क्लासियस, रुडोल्फ क्लासियस, he formulated the thermodynamic laws. So if we analyze that, again we'll find what he wrote and what students read now, there is a big difference. Achha, why he wrote energy is conserved, that is his first law, was quantified as Q is minus W is equal to delta U. Nowadays, every day they use small the capital delta everywhere, both at Q and both at W, which he did not use. Second is heat flows naturally from hot to cold. That is not quantized. He didn't quantize it. Later it was quantized later. Celsius added that some heat had to be rejected from a reversible Carnot engine, heat engine, and that so as Carnot proposed, and he knew that equation is there. All we know about that equation. So weight can be classified into 5 types as per the Bajaj I said: formative, Swarupadhayaka, specific, Visheshaka, obvious, Swayam Siddha, and Paripanthi. That. So of these, first one, formative, Swarupadhayaka, is generated naturally during when some energy is confined in a particular manner. That is called that gives a confined shape, that gives a volume, and parimana, that is called mass. So mass is really volume. Not originally it was even in Latin and Old English, it was used to indicate spread, what we call volume. So it was never initially it meant kg. So kg was all along weight. It was never a mass. Only recently, after French Revolution, the unit of kg was evolved, and that was appropriated wrongly by modern scientists as unit of mass. Achha. So in that case, generated naturally during the process of entanglement, chanda. We call the process. No, we don't accept this Higgs mechanism, but we accept the chanda, entanglement, energy entangled differently to form different objects. That gives it mass of energy for its creation as an object. But the bayuna, we call it bayuna. Bayuna literally means stitching. Energy as if it is stitched. When we stitch a cloth, we use them in a proper arrangement, entangle them in a proper arrangement. So similarly, when energy is entangled in a proper arrangement, it is called bayuna. That is object, matter, mass. Achha. The second specific The second weight of second type of weight is Visheshaka. Visheshaka means suppose it is specific. It has three divisions: Uttama, Madhyama, Adhama. Say you can, for example, you can take three logs of wood of different varieties. Say one, if it is sesame or something like that, it will be very heavy, though it is a log of wood. A similar log of wood from say teak, it will be lighter. And there are some other trees whose logs of same those trees will be very very light. Those are used to make boats. So this classification, though all are logs of wood, the difference is because of the nature of their creation. So that is called. But since it is though nature process is same, the product is different. So they are called Visheshaka. That is specific. Acha, unique to each object structure. Bhavanada. Mass is called Bhavanada. It can be compact, loose, or medium, of relatively heavy, medium, or light, Ucham, Madhyam, Madhyama. Next, classification of weight category. The third one is called emergent, उत्पातिक. उत्पाद जब उत्पात होता है, मैंने कोई जैसे सपोज वी गेट ए डिजीज, सब वी आर एक्सपोज टू ह्यूमिडिटी एंड वी गेट कोल्ड, or we are exposed to heat and we get some disease. So that those are agantuka. Agantuka means they come from external sources and affect us. So like that agantuka vadam, like we have different roga vikara due to external factors. In some cases, it could be generated due to inertia of motion, sanskarat. So just I'll give one example. Suppose we hold some object under water, it will feel light. But if we take the same one to a hilltop, it will feel heavy. Though object is same, at different because of external influence, external factors, it will feel different. So that is called agantuka, outpatika. The fourth is obvious, swayam siddha. Swayam siddha means suppose there are certain things which are hot or cold, and they are unique to each body, but is different way that does not change the object characteristics. With these things, they do not change the characteristic of the object, but this can be due to change in the space time position state of the object, like underwater or in hilltop, or when it is hot or cold, same thing. The weight changes when it is hot or when it is cold. Like I told you, water at 4 degrees centigrade is kept taken for designing a kg, because that at that temperature the weight is fixed. Volume and weight, that relationship is fixed. So this is the fourth one, and the last one is deformity, paripanthi. There are situations when all these things can be negated. So anything which contradicts all these things, that like say roasting deforms the iron, the weight changes. So this is one example. So paripanthi is the first type. So these five weight categories, though weight is same for any object, for these reasons there can be different. The same thing can weigh differently. So these are the five weight categories. Next, karanam. There is a very wrong notion about causality nowadays. Some say even without properly defining what is cause and what is effect, they say sometimes retro causality. There can be nothing like retro-causality, because causality is one way. Karana bhavat karya bhavam. कारण नहीं हो, if there is no cause, there will no effect. न तो कार्य भावात कारण भाव. But if there is no effect, there can be cause. Cause is independent and can exist independently without effect, or cause, if there is an effect, there must be cause. But if there is cause, it need not lead to effect automatically. Karanam is defined as कार्यते अनेन, जिस जन बिना जन्म भवति तत्, जिस without which something will not happen, that is called karya. So with what happens is the effect. So effect will not come without the cause. So then this cause can need not be only one. But it can be in Vedic classification, it is 13 types. Hetur nimittam prakutischa joni prarabdha moolam prabhavod bhavo jatha vivarta sanchari rasa pravahika prakutya purvam samavai kamata. These 13 causes. So accordingly, there will be 13 interactions. कार्य कारण त्रयोदशविध संबंध. For each cause there will be a one particular type of interaction. Say for hetu, it is alakyanam chatha vibhuti jogo bandhan mita brutti udara brutti sat saptamiyam samvaya brutti nisanga brutti punarastami sat अव्यूढ़ संधि धरत तरतु उत्प्रत भावौ च ग्रहत ग्रहात्म. These are the 13 interactions. Say for hetu, the hetu is the primary cause. For everything came out of something called alakshana. So that at that time it was called nirvishesha, because there was we describe something by its special characteristics. But in the past case, when the universe began, there was nothing like that. So it is called, it cannot be described. It is called nirvishesha. That is alakshana. It has no lakshana. So it is called alakshana. Acha. Similarly, the nimitta. The nimitta is vibhuti. Vibhuti yoga. What is vibhuti? When the field and energy interact, if the field dominates, the energy cannot differentiate anything. It creates something called Abhaya Purusha. Abhaya Purusha is now known as Higgs field. What they call as Higgs field is a very unscientific thing, but Abhaya Purusha is the real Higgs field. So that is I can explain it detail some other time. For the moment I am leaving it. The third is Hetu Nimittam Prakriti. Prakriti as determined by Yoga Sambandha. Yoga Sambandha is when both field and energy are in equilibrium. So the effect appears differently. It is like, suppose a bird is flying. So its wings fly in different directions, move in different directions. But bird moves in a different direction. So when if the bird's wings are in balance, then it will move properly. Samatvam jagavuchyate. If the wings can move skillfully, the bird can move wherever it wants. So yoga karmasu kaushalam. So that is the thing. The fourth is the joni. Joni means utpatti sthana, from where things are created. So that is joni is it is called bandha sambandha. Bandha is of two types. The first is you called granthi bandhanam. When we tie something in a knot, it can't come out unless the knot itself is dissolved. So, Granthi Bandhana, that is the thing which gives everything its mass, not the Higgs mechanism. And this is called Chanda. And there are different types of Chandas explained in the Vedas. I have explained it elsewhere. I will explain it separately. So, Chanda, that is, then the other bandha is like the object cannot be separated till the knot is untied. Similarly, the object can retains its mass only till it is cut off. Acha. The other bandha is called sansara bandhana, loose interaction. When two things join, but they can also be separated, that is called sansara bandhana. It has 6 divisions. This explains what nowadays is known as the fundamental forces of nature. When two things that Hrudya, that is everything has a nucleus and an extranucleic field, and then electron cell we know in the atom. The same thing, same principle applies everywhere. It is called Bharga, Maha and Jasa. So in these cases, so what happens is when two nucleus when they join together to form an indivisible structure, that is called strong interaction. That is called antarjama. It is known as strong nuclear interaction. When they only the external, when they like electron cells, when they are so when the interaction is between the electron cells, that is called bahirjama. That is called beta decay of weak interaction. Similarly, the electromagnetic interaction is called upajama. And then the alpha decay, part of radioactive disintegration, that is called yatajama. And then the fifth is the what is called gravitation, ujjama. And the sixth one is, though it is not accepted in modern science yet, but since the principle is same, the chemical bonding called aptojama, we treat in the Vedic science, we treat as the sixth fundamental interaction, that is the sansara bandhana. So like that it goes on. So then संग्रह कारितो वही धारणा आकर्षण. When two things are joined, it can be dharana or akarshana. Dharana is when something is attached to something else in so that it permanently. Akarshana is balat anayanam. You create something in sometime something of a void in another, so that it is automatically there can be no void. So it automatically it moves in to fill the void. So that is akarshana. Sangraho nama sanjoga sahacharita gunantaram sneha dravatva karitam. This is in Naya Darshan. So Naya is our research methodology. This is quotation from that. Granthi Bandhana I have already explained, and Sansara Bandhana I have already explained. Next, fundamental interactions. This already I have explained. So what I spoke earlier, this is the detail of that. So anybody can see it at their own spare time. So I will not spend more time on this. Next, acha. Here one thing about gravitation. This gravitation is not an attractive force. What we talk about gravitation is like two sumo wrestlers fighting with each other, each trying to push the other one out of the ring. But they, according to their relative strength, they stabilize at one point. That is called gravitation. So similarly, when two bodies force each other into a ring, so what happens? So when they stabilize, suppose at a point both neutralize each other. In that case, since energy cannot remain idle, what happens is they go around each other. So that causes motion, circular motion. So that is planetary motion, like is like that only. So this one, we divide things in different ways. This gravitation we divide in 7 different ways called avaha, prabaha, sambaha, vibaha, anubaha, parabaha, paribaha. These are the 7 types of gravitation in Vedic science. So here the Surya Siddhanta gives the planetary motions. Tadvata Rasmi, I have quoted it. So it says that Prabhakya Maruditastu, the variety of gravitation that leads to motion of planets around the sun is called Prabha. So out of the 7, the variety called Prabha is the cause for planetary motion. Lot of people quote wrongly from Akrusti Shakti Mahi Jadasyat. There is a sloka from a later Siddhanta text. So a lot of people refer to that, but that is not the right Vedic interpretation. That is what they write is that is Abha Vayu. Akruti Shakti is Abha Vayu. That is every planet. Suppose we throw a stone up, it comes down to earth straight in a straight line. That is due to Abha Vayu. That is Akruti Shakti. So though they have written about Akruti Shakti, they refer actually to Prabha because Surya Siddhanta is the mother of all Siddhanta texts. So they cannot go different, they tell different things from Surya Siddhanta. They can only refine it more in some aspects. So that is the thing. Now how these 7 vayus are I told you the three, everything has 3 parts: Bharga, Maha, and Jasa. So Bharga is the interior part, that is the core of the thing, and Maha is everybody has a personal space. So outside of it, just outside of its body, but close to the body. So like we have a personal space. If somebody comes near us, we can feel its presence even though he doesn't touch us. Similarly, Earth has this Earth's atmosphere, that is its Maha. Jasa is that effect of this body outside the Maha, outside the personal space. It is not so strong there, it is loose. So now, because of these 3, it is like Bharga. Suppose you take an atom, the nucleus is the Bharga, and the Jasa is the electron orbits, electron cells, and Maha is the in between interim area. That is called Maha. So like we have upadana vikalpasa linganam saptavarnita. So we have one positive charge, one negative charge, that is nucleus with positive charge, electron cells with negative charge, and in between that is neutral charge. So similarly, but these 3 can be arranged in 7 different ways. Similarly, upadana vikalpascha linganam saptavarnita. Similarly, with this gravitation, because of the interaction between these 3, Bharga, Maha, and Jasa, it can be Abha, Prabha, Sambha, Vibha, Anubha, Parabha, Paribha. Next, here when Bharga, here the same, how they act with each other to create something, it is explained here. You can read it leisurely. There is no, it is not difficult to understand. So the same is this Bharga, Maha, and Jasa, when they interact with each other, say they give 7 effects. That is the 7 types of gravitation mentioned here. Out of to talk it very easily, I can say this Prithvi has Abha. That is, everything is dragged back to Prithvi within its atmosphere. That is because it is Abha Vayu. And Prabha makes the planets move around the sun. And then Anubhaha is when the planet pioneer anomaly, if those who are can search in the net about pioneer anomaly, when the pioneer spacecraft was sent out of the solar system more than 50 years ago, so they found that not solar system, when the pioneer went beyond the Jupiter's orbit, so they found a negative drag. Something was dragging it towards the earth or the sun. So that is called pioneer anomaly. That is, they have given some explanation that is not correct. The real answer is here. One of these 7 gravitation forms that is responsible for that. Similarly, when the Voyager spacecraft went out after the orbit of Saturn, Voyager 2 suddenly changed direction. No one knows why it changed direction. So that is called this deflection of its route. So that is called, that can be explained from this some vivarta, some samvarta vivarta. These two can explain that. Similarly, there is a flyby anomaly noticed by the many spacecrafts. That flyby anomaly can be explained by Abaham. So I have given the all details. You can go through it in leisure. That is okay. Next slide. Periodic oscillatory value of G. According to European letters 2015, I have given the reference here. The value of G is not a constant but a periodical. It has a periodicity of 5 point, that is there, but they have given the value 5.899 plus minus 0.062 years with an amplitude of so and so, you can see. But in Vedic science, G has a periodicity of average. This is an average periodicity of 5.930481577. That 10 places of decimal I have given. I can give even more precise value.
Namaskar. So today we will end here. We will again meet in the next session.